In Cold Blood, which is one of those cocktail names that is so good and staring me right in the face for so many years. I just never thought to myself, like, that would be a good cocktail name. And it's a pretty brilliant cocktail name, obviously after the Truman Capote book of the same name. Unless there are other pop culture In Cold Blood references that I don't know about. I'm pretty sure it's from the Truman Capote book, which is actually one of my favorite true crime books. Probably one of the first true crime books, maybe next to Norman Mailer's Executioner's Song, that was like raised up to the level of like literature, like serious literature. A serious literature in that it's like, you know, required, if not high school reading, depending on the high school you go to, college reading for sure. Before we get into the delicious cocktail content that I have for you today, we need to thank Magic Spoon for partnering up with us on today's video. Magic Spoon is a high protein, low carb cereal designed to taste just like the nostalgic cereals you loved as a kid, but without the sugar and the junk. Each serving is packed with around 13 to 14 grams of protein, contains 0 grams of added sugar, and 4 to 5 grams net carbs, making it keto friendly and delicious. It's gluten-free, it's grain-free, and it comes in all the classic flavors that you loved as a kid: fruity, cocoa, frosted, and peanut butter. Basically, it's everything your inner child wants with the nutrition that your adult self needs. Magic Spoon's protein treats are crispy, crunchy, and airy. Magic Spoon's treats are 11 to 12 grams of protein, 1 gram of sugar, and 1 to 2 grams of net carbs, so you can always get the fuel that you need on the go. So use my code BARFLY or click the link in the description below to try Magic Spoon cereal or treats today and get $5 off. You can also find Magic Spoon on Amazon or in your nearest grocery store. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, they'll back it with a 100% happiness guarantee online. If you don't like it for whatever reason, they'll refund it, no questions asked. So click the link in the description below or go to magicspoon.com/barfly or scan the QR code on the screen for $5 off. Let's talk about building cocktails, stirred cocktails, because I kind of get busted for this a lot. There's 2 different ways that you can do this, right? So let's just like come back here. This is not something I was thinking about talking about today, but I will talk about it. When you serve a cocktail over a rock in a glass, there are 2 different ways to build it. There is the build inside the glass technique, and there's the build inside the stirring glass, stir it to equilibrium, and then strain it over the rock. And both of these techniques have their own pluses and minuses. And Marius will put a timestamp. So for those of you guys that don't want to listen to my dissertation on stirring glass versus stirring in the glass, then you guys can skip ahead. I constantly do this on the channel where I'm building this in the glass and everyone's like, why are you building in the glass? Part of bartending is that it is a show. And I feel like this is sort of getting lost in bars recently. I mean, like, I've been to a lot of bars and there is a lot that is automated in bars and batched out to make things a little bit more efficient. This is a great thing to do, especially if you're in a very high volume bar or if you're in a very small bar that gets a lot of people in it, because you want to make sure that everyone gets their cocktail or their drink in a very good amount of time without having to wait around for a very long time. But part of it is a show, and part of that show is kind of showing the steps of how a drink goes together. What one of the virtues of bartending and drink making is that unlike a chef in a kitchen, you're making the drink right in front of the guest. And a lot of times, especially when there's like, really dyed-in-the-wool steps, I guess, just like very specific steps that you take to make the cocktail, people appreciate to see that. Like, they really appreciate, oh, this is a bespoke thing that's being made for me. And I really appreciate how this thing comes together. And that is where the stirring glass comes in, because first of all, it's an extra step. You throw your cocktail ingredients in there, you stir it down to equilibrium, and you pour it over a big rock. It looks very elegant. It's a very nice show. That said, if you are making cocktails in a service bar, or if you are just making lots of cocktails at the same time, you can eliminate this step by just making it in the glass as opposed to pouring it into your glass. You have less dishes, it is a lot faster, way more efficient, and people get their cocktails in the same amount of time. It's a little bit less of a show, so you're trading that. What you're losing in the showmanship of what bartending is, you are gaining in the efficiency of making that drinking pushing now at the right time. I tend to do it both ways on the channel. Typically, I'm stirring it in the glass because I like to just have less dishes to do at the end of our shooting day, and then on top of that, I think it looks really elegant as well. Not to mention the fact that there is a world in which you stir it down to equilibrium, you let it sit, whatever, you pour it in here, or your ice has been sitting in here. So a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll put the ice in there, they'll stir. This ice is actively melting in the glass. Bartenders will sometimes then take the glass and go like this and dump out the excess water before they do that, but a lot of people don't, as you're adding a little excess dilution in there. It's a little tiny thing, but it does, definitely affect the amount of dilution that you have in there, or it affects the amount of time you can drink it. as opposed to what I like to do is just like kind of pull it out just like for a few minutes, because you can't just pull it out of the freezer. If you pull it out of the freezer, you put it in booze, it's gonna crack the ice and it's gonna look terrible. So I like to pull it out a few minutes ahead, or I have to cut it down for the glass. Then I set it here, then I make my drink in the glass and then I pour it in. And then you are stirring, and the stirring is where you're getting your dilution, and you're not doing that extra step. My TED Talk is over. Now we shall make the drink. All right, let's make the drink. Let's make this effing drink, shall we? So I'll leave it up to you. What do you. Should I make it in the glass or should I make it in a stirring glass? You know, I'll make it in a stirring glass today.
I thought you only did it in the glass if it was like an old-fashioned style.
This is an old-fashioned style. Why do you think I went on this whole tirade about old-fashioned style cocktails and, you know, how you do them? It's an old-fashioned style cocktail. But today I'm going to do it the opposite way. Oh, but what I will do first is I cut these nice pieces of ice. Maybe we should cut this down for the glass first. This is the long way, and I force myself to do these things kind of the long way, but at the same time, I'm such a stickler for the presentation of the cocktail that I have to do it this way, even though it adds time to our shoot day. Voila. 1 ounce of Cynar. 1 ounce of Carpano Antica. And did I say that this was an old-fashioned style when I really meant it's a Manhattan on the rock style?
So when you got all upset with me, that was for no reason? Got it. See?
But it's still served on the rock, so it's just about serving stirred drinks on the rock, and still kind of old-fashioned style because it's served on a rock, whereas like Manhattans are typically served up. That being said, it's a Manhattan style cocktail. 1 ounce of rye. We're just doing 100 proof rye here. I did us all a big favor today, and I obtained some cold draft ice for us to use. Big ass thing of cold draft here, so I don't have to sit around and cut little cubes by hand. So we're just gonna crush that first one, and maybe the second one as well. I like to crack them. I like to crack two, like that. I mean, can I just put that whole thing in there? No, it's not gonna fit. We wanna fill up our ice, you know, to a good amount. And what's nice about stirred cocktails is that it takes a while to get them down to equilibrium, and it also doesn't dilute as much as you would think. So you could actually build your stirred drink in here and put your ice in there, and then you can just like, oh, I forgot to do this, I forgot to do that. Do a couple of things before you stir it and you'll be fine. And if you want to know how long to stir for, check out our stirring video, because we have one of those. Okay. I may be demonstrating this for you right now, but if your ice is not like tempered and you pour the booze, even the chilled booze, over the ice, it will crack, which kind of sucks. So hopefully this is tempered enough. I don't know that it is, and we might hear it crack. Do as I say, not as I do. You know what I mean? That's why I like to pour off the ice like this. Here's another actual benefit of pouring your cocktail into the Big Rock ice cocktail. If you pour on top of the cube, you'll round it, but I like to have nice sharp edges on the cube, and so that it's cube shaped and not like rounded. And when you pour it kind of off the ice, you can kind of retain that shape for longer. It's just a really nice presentation for a cocktail. All right, we're just gonna do a lemon twist here. I'm excited because guess what? I'm gonna go to Portland Hunt and Alpine Club this summer, because I'm gonna be in Portland, Maine, and I'm very excited about that, just FYI. Let's give it a taste. It is so simple and so good, and the lemon, like just the Cynar and the Vermouth with just that little backbone of rye whiskey is fantastic. It was funny is that the Cynar kind of goes in sweet, but then it kind of devolves to more bitterness. And then you have a little bit more sweetness from the Carpano Antica that just kind of supports that Cynar, but you don't need bitters with that Cynar in there. And then you have, you know, the body of it, you know, like the kind of the backbone of the whole cocktail, giving it like the right shape, I guess, for lack of a better term. You got that 100 proof rye whiskey. And honestly, I would put 100 proof in there to stand up to the rest of the ingredients a little bit more than you would from 80 proof. And then you have that lemon just giving it that nice bright citrus pop. So there it is, the In Cold Blood.